welcome back to Central Park. Now, if you saw part 1, you might have thought to yourself, we visited 10 spots. Sounds like a lot. Well, Central Park has a lot more. For a comparison in the size of Central Park, it is bigger than the country of Monaco. So yeah, it's huge, and there's a lot more stuff to see. Today we're going to see the eastern side of Central Park, and we're starting at the Gap-style bridge, which is aligned with 62nd Street right next to 5th Avenue. The Gap-style bridge is one out of the 36 ornamental bridges in Central Park that all have their own unique style. That's the part of the beauty and the magic of visiting this park. Today we're going to visit some more quirky statues and also a very strange ancient monument that's older than even New York City itself. I'm Ariel with Urbanist, and let's explore Central Park for a part 2. Now, I've talked about the ancient bedrock that is all around Central Park exposed. However, there's a few specific rocks that are really worth visiting. I'm not sure even if this rock has a name, but it's right after the Gap-style bridge, and you see views of the Woolham skate rink and also of all the new skyscrapers in New York City, Billionaires Row. They are now becoming the tallest structures in the entire Western Hemisphere at this point. And also some of the skinniest skyscrapers built in the world. In the 1990s like I did, you probably saw the children's film Balto. It starts with a grandmother with her grandkid looking at the statue. They were sitting on one of these benches, and she tells them the story of how she survived a terrible blizzard in Nome, Alaska. Balto was one of the sled dogs in 1925 January that led the way through a whiteout conditions blizzard in the Arctic to provide antitoxins to a group of very sick children. The owner of the sled dogs passed out due to the terrible conditions, but the dogs continued the journey. And one of the dogs that led the journey was Balto himself. So he became a very famous dog in the late 1920s. So much so that when he died in 1933, he was memorialized in the Cleveland Zoo. This is his statue here in Central Park. This is a monumental event for me because I've been meaning to find the Charles B. Stowe Whispering Bench. I never really knew where this was located, and right now making this video, I finally found it. So let's see if it works. And if you don't understand the concept of a whispering bench, it means that if you sit on one side, you can hear the person on the other side. Let's try it out. All right, so I'm gonna leave the camera over here in the corner, and let's see if it works. I'm sitting on the other side. Before I sit down, this is me speaking at a normal level. You probably can't hear me at all. Alright, let's try it. Hey, can you hear me? To all the urbanists down there, I just want to give you one message. Keep being awesome. It's so cool. So cool.
Let's see if that worked.
I just checked the replay and yeah, it worked. You can hear it pretty clear, the whisper I gave. So if you're here in the whispering bench, come with a friend, or maybe spill a secret with a lover, or maybe with your enemy. Have fun with it. Here's the whispering bench. Our next stop. This area of Central Park I like to call Fairy Tale Land because it's filled with a lot of homages to children's stories. This is Conservatory Water, and it's the main climax point of the E.B. White children's novel Stuart Little, where Stuart Little gets on the little motorboat and actually wins the race for the little kid. Right now there's no little motorboats, but there are lots of ducks. Now right around here there are two other homages to children's stories. Let's check them out. Speaking of ducks, this man, Hans Christian Andersen, wrote The Ugly Duckling. He also wrote The Little Mermaid and The Emperor's New Clothes. He is one of the most famous children's short story writers of all time. He comes from Denmark, and this is a statue honoring him right in front of the Conservatory Water. Now, one little anecdote about Hans Christian Andersen is that he got along initially with Charles Dickens, another classic writer of his time. But the second time he decided to visit Dickens in England, his family was very wary because Hans Christian Andersen said sometimes that he would visit for a few days, and those days would turn to more. That second visit, those few days turned into 5 weeks. The Dickens family refused to allow Hans Christian Andersen to stay with them ever again. And to round up this trio of homages to children's short stories is the statue to Alice in Wonderland. It's a wonderfully quirky statue that depicts, of course, the famous characters of the 1865 novel by Lewis Carroll. It's been made into countless films, and it kind of looks a little bit more like the film from the Disney version, because Alice is pretty young in this depiction. So, wonderful statue. I absolutely love visiting this. Let's check it out. Now, when you're here, be sure to also look down around the statue. They have these wonderful plaques with passages from the book. Like this one right here. It says, "Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky." I love how Lewis Carroll rhymed. It's amazing. Let me read one more. "Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy because he knows it teases." Yeah, that's pretty rough. This is the magic of New York City. A Beatles cover underneath one of the beautiful ornamental arches in Central Park. cool. Some of these arches have great acoustics because they appear to have used some special tiling. What's that tune? Let me know. Now we are about to see something really strange. Right beyond this arch, behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art, is something much, much older than New York City. Something much, much older than most civilizations that we know in Europe. We're about to see Cleopatra's Needle. Wait, why is there a massive obelisk in the middle of Central Park? Well, if you're from a city like Rome or Paris, you might be used to seeing more obelisks. But in New York City, the only obelisks that you really do see are gravestones in Greenwood Cemetery or in Woodlawn Cemetery. It was a big deal in the late 1800s to use yourself as an obelisk when you die. However, this is a real Egyptian obelisk, dating from 1475 BC, ordered to be built by the King Thutmose III. Now, it's called Cleopatra's Needle. Cleopatra was living much, much later. So this obelisk is very old, more than 3,000 years old, and it's standing in the middle of New York City at 69 feet tall and weighs more than 200 tons. Now, when was it installed here? In 1881. Where a group of Freemasons decided to get the support of the city to buy this obelisk. Because if you were a major city in the 1880s, 1870s without an obelisk, you were a real city. At least that's what most European cities thought. So New York City wanted their own obelisk, and they did. The Egyptian government sold it to them. When this obelisk was erected in February 1881, it was a massive Freemason event. Hundreds of members came over here to celebrate the erection of Cleopatra's Needle. However, they all came with their vestments, their aprons, and they ended the ceremony with just 3 claps. And they just left. What was their intention behind having a ceremony here to celebrate the erection of a needle? Who knows? Even though it sounds pretty funny if you say erection of a needle a few times. Though, there is another strange thing about this needle. If you take a map and draw a straight line from Cleopatra's Needle to another obelisk built by a Freemason right by St. Paul's Chapel, right in the middle of that straight line would be another obelisk of New York City, Major General Worth's monument. It's an actual grave for the general who won us the Mexican War. He was also a Freemason, and just 1 block away from that obelisk is the headquarters of the Freemasons here in New York City. Is it a conspiracy? Is it some greater alignment? Probably not. But I do think the Freemasons were having a little bit of fun. All right, that was a very long journey through Central Park. And even with 2 parts of this video, there's still a whole lot more to see. Stay tuned, I'm going to do another video based on John Lennon and his life, and we're going to visit 2 more spots in Central Park. However, I want to give you one bonus place to visit before I say goodbye to all of you. try Bluestone Lane right here at 89th Street and 5th Avenue. And you get to get yourself some amazing brunch. It's one of my favorite coffee places as well in New York City. But the cool thing about this Bluestone Lane is that it's built within a church. Yep, an Episcopal church. Usually you can sit inside the church area where the restaurant is located. Right now it's only outdoor seating, and it's absolutely amazing. If you're looking for a snack and you're here before 5 p.m., great spot to check out. Thank you everyone so much for watching this journey through Central Park and its secrets. Stay tuned for John Lennon's New York coming soon. I'm Ariel with Urbanist. Thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring.